What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Pod Gods. My name is Jake, and I do video.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. How's video?
Video is good.
You created video? That's pretty cool.
I created video, and
Silent
everybody
films
is
or no?
inspired by me. All of them.
I'm kind of sad that you killed the radio star in the process.
All of
crazy.
video.
Wow.
Yep.
Brady Holland, EXP Realty, houses. That's what I do.
We got a special guest here, Mr. Bob Waack, who does, I want to get you like some accolades, animation, stand-up, art. Did I cover all of them?
On my Twitter, I wrote down Jokesmith instead of writer because that sounds funnier to me.
Jokesmith.
Jokesmith is fun.
Welcome along.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I've known Bob since middle school? Did Southview?
Yeah, I switched over from Valley View to Southview because Southview was awesome.
Yeah.
To a degree. I mean, middle school sucks, but yeah, Southview was the better option, definitely.
Do you remember us first meeting? I don't. I'm just always curious.
I mean, I was such a weird little kid. I tried avoiding everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with Asperger's syndrome and a few other things like Tourettes and whatever. And so it was hard for me to be able to be like, how do I go up to these? So I spent the first 3 years of middle school in Southview trying to figure out where I fit.
Just how to navigate.
And I think you were in the group with like Alec and all. We're all reminiscing about our better years. But yeah, that was the better group, like with the punk kids and the ska kids,
I wouldn't say it was better.
Probably not. I mean, I couldn't relate to the other kids because they were very rich and I was very not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Edina.
Yeah. Edina was there's like the kids that listen to like Insane Clown Posse and Cottonmouth Kings.
God.
And then there was like the punk rock kids that I hung out with, and then there's like the hockey players, and then there's just different groups, but for the most part, like everybody got along, I think.
Well, growing up, everybody had a cabin, and my house was a cabin. Like they literally built my neighborhood on a swamp. So like my grandma, who lived 3 doors down, we would always have to go over there and like drain her basement and shit.
Oh, from flooding?
Yeah, from flooding, and like we would get toads all the time. It was just like, what? And then I would hear like, and the thing about that was I lived kind of by where the guy who ran Edina Realty. Reese. I can't remember
something.
He was like in order to get from where I was to where he was, you had to go uphill. You had to
through 5 gates.
Yeah, he had like gargoyles and shit. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
some Illuminati stuff.
Yeah, like I took a bike ride up there at one point when I could actually ride a bike and not fall over. And like, I went up there just to see what all the houses were like up there, and it's just this giant imposing, structure, this fortress. And then I go back
fortress on the top of the hill, like you see in like
Bowser's
movies.
Castle and then I go back to my shed, and then
down by the swamp.
By the swamp, down by the bayou.
Yeah. What was it like growing up with Asperger's and Tourette's?
It sucked.
Yeah.
It was that my Tourette's started when I was like 8. I want to say. I just remember like being in my room, and all of a sudden I kept going like, "Excuse me," and then it just kept doing, and then like it evolved over time. So I would stop saying "excuse me" and I would start kind of like condensing it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Excuse me again, excuse me again, again," and so like people picked up on that, and they'd be like, "Ha ha," and I would be like, "I don't know what I'm doing differently," because we didn't really know what Tourette's, like everybody kind of assumed that it was the funny swear ha ha kind, which is a different condition called coprolalia. Which translates to shit talking. Yeah. And that it's kind of similar. I mean, it's in the same kind of thing, but mine are mostly like verbal and motion. But
so what would it be before you would have that tick? What would be like? Would there be like an urge to do it, or would it be just reactionary?
The way I describe it, it's like having a mosquito bite. Like it's there, and you can kind of feel when it's coming, but you can suppress it as best as you can. But eventually, you just kind of like
You have to scratch it.
well, you just subconsciously, you let go. And mine changes all the time. So, like, depending on where I am, if I'm at a movie or something and I'm wearing a hat, and I'm always looking up at the brim of my hat, and then my eyes start hurting, and then so I'm just like, okay, take my hat off so I don't do that, and then all of a sudden my toes start curling up, and then I try to prevent that, and then I start going like. And I'm just like, never ends.
Can't escape it.
It sucks, but fortunately now there's good medication for mine. I mean, it doesn't really work for everybody. I know a lot of people who have really bad Tourette's and they just have no option. Like, it just makes them worse.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of lucky in that regard.
What brings it on? Is it like anxiety or just
it just kind
random?
of happens. Yeah. Like, if I'm sitting still for too long, it'll just kind of bump up and interrupt my day. That kind of thing. Like, it really, it's why I don't drive or do most things, because I don't know when it comes.
Did you
on.
drive here?
I took an Uber.
Dude, I could have just came and picked you up, dude.
From St. Paul?
From St. Paul, you took an Uber here.
There's no parking out there. There's like nothing.
I wouldn't have to. I could have just picked.
I know.
Anyways, whatever. But
I like spending
Fucking
money.
dick,
I like
guy.
making
No.
it sound like I'm important and then I have money. That's how I like.
what about Asperger's? What? So I know there's like a huge spectrum of different.
My brother has Asperger's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's different for a lot of people. I lived with my friend from high school who had it as well. And it is definitely a different spectrum. Like, mine is definitely not very noticeable now. It was when I was growing up, because, I didn't have people kicking my ass all the time to get me into normalcy,
Right.
But yeah, fortunately, I got to a point where I was still kind of like, people ask about it and I tell them and then they get surprised. But then there are moments where I'm just, a lot of it is I can't really trust what comes out of my head. And that tends to limit me in a lot of things where I just feel terrified to be in front of people.
Yeah.
It's weird because I did stand up and I hoped that would kind of get rid of it, but it kind of made it worse. But, it's a thing that I grew up with and I have to deal with all the time. I still get mad at myself all the time for making really stupid mistakes that I know I should know better, that kind of thing. But
Like what? What do you mean?
So
Like social mistakes?
yeah, I mean, so for example, this is going to be a crazy story, but I was going over to the Mall of America at one point. I was 26. I went on the train. And on the train, there were these two girls who were just insulting everybody on the train. I mean, like, they were just, like, saying, "You're ugly," and shit like that. Like, they would just go up to people and say this kind of stuff. And the whole time, I was just kind of trying to ignore it, and I was there for the whole ride. And then I overheard one of them call me an autistic mouse or something like that. And, like, I saw them glance over at me, and they're like, "He looks like an autistic mouse." And I was like, first of all, I agree. Like, I get that.
I definitely have mouse features.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Listen, bitch.
Yeah, look.
You're right.
I have to chew wood, otherwise my teeth grow and they pierce my brain. I can't have that. So first of all, you're right. Yeah, and second of all, I knew I shouldn't have felt as emotional as I did. I grew up as a very emotional kid, and it made me very livid. I didn't.
Yeah.
So I got off the train and I was like, you're such cunts. Like, that's the actual word. That I mean, you could blank that out if you need, but
I don't give a shit.
But basically,
Jake's
like,
Wilford.
these two girls, and then they were like coming up to me and going like, huh, and I thought they were like getting ready to do something,
Like fight you or hit you or
so
something?
I pushed them off of me.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, oh shit, like, this is
Like
not.
you just
Yeah.
assaulted a. Yeah.
And I didn't mean to, obviously. I mean, you
Right.
never planned to go in and be like, I'm going to shove a kid today. for
Well, and
being
you don't.
mean.
They're approaching you aggressively. Like,
Yeah.
what are you?
And I talked to the security about it and everything, and they're like, "Do you know how old they were?" I was like, "No, I don't care. Like, whatever." And he was like, "Yeah,
They
they're
were
like
5.
3-year-olds throwing shit at
Yeah.
me. I'm like, you're dead, dude."
Fucking Felix.
Yeah, it was just they were like 15 or 16, and I immediately melted. Like, I was just so sad.
Yeah.
And the security people were like, "Yeah, we get it. Like, if they were doing that and
Right.
they were coming up to you, we understand. But being the Mall of America, they don't tolerate any sort of that kind of stuff. And I agreed. I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for any of this shit to happen. And had to go to court. Had to.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and
crazy.
Even the judge was like, why are you here? Like, this is, we get it. You know, I mean, you can pay $200 because we're poor, but you know, everybody's poor right now. That's
crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
What was so middle school? You would say just sucked.
Yeah, definitely.
Overall, what about high school?
Better.
Better. Do you kind of find your group?
Kind of. I mean, sophomore year. I ran out of people to talk to, I think it was. And then I joined theater group, which helped a lot.
Oh, okay.
They were super cool. And that helped me get out of a lot of my restrictions that I put on myself a lot of the time. Big thing about theater is, especially improvisational theater, there's this thing called yes and, which means you can't like stop a scene or and so I started incorporating that into kind of like into my regular life, because with my condition I have a lot of things where I feel like I have to be very comfortable in order to function. But then doing theater and learning to kind of like go with things, I slowly opened up and realized, you know, it's probably better to not feel comfortable, because then you actually stop being, you know.
Well, if you're too comfortable, I mean, it's hard to grow when you're constantly just in your bubble, just comfortable all the time.
Yeah. I mean, after high school, I wasn't able to really go anywhere for a long time. I couldn't afford anything. I couldn't.
Sure.
So I was just stuck in Edina. And especially then, I mean, when you have no money and you're stuck in a town that has money, there's nothing.
Oh, it's so brutal.
There's really not a whole lot to do except for go to Southdale.
I remember, like, we jokingly say, like, oh, you grew up in Edina, but I was with my mom, like, single mom, and whenever I say I grew up in Edina, people just roll their eyes like, oh, okay, dude.
Yeah, I actually, there was a contest that the Mall of America had at one point where you had to take a picture of yourself doing something that you had never done before. So I went into the American Girl store and like, had a picture where it looked like I was talking to one of the dolls about their merchandise or whatever. Yeah. And I won, I guess. And then like the Mall of America put it on their Facebook and they're like, Bob from Edina just won. And like all the comments were like, fuck you.
Look at this rich fuck. His dad probably owns a store.
Yeah, it was just, I didn't have enough space to say I live in a shack down by the swamp. I'm sorry that I couldn't answer this fully. And, you know, I wish I could give you my life story, but
the whole comfort thing though, I mean, like, I think about Brady where, you know, it's not like he was comfortable, but he had a full scholarship for golf.
And you threw it all away.
Yeah.
Literally,
and he literally was like, you know, you hit a point where you're just like, fuck this, I'm going to try real estate. And now it's luckily worked out. And you've been, I mean, not luckily because you've been working your ass off, but that's like a huge,
that's a big
not
thing.
many people would do that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
a lot of people, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say it reminds me of my brother, right? Because he's in a position, he lives with my parents, very low rent, has a he's
comfortable.
He's super, super comfortable. And he wants to grow, but he's just too comfortable to grow. Like,
and that's a big thing with me
so
too.
Tough.
Yeah, because like my whole life, I tried to find a thing that just made me happy, and when I wasn't allowed to do that kind of thing, I was just unable to function. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a big part of the condition. Is like, it's hard to get going on stuff, especially when everything feels so overwhelming. And crappy. Like growing up, I actually had to go through a bunch of programs. I didn't have to, but I was put through them because I probably would have set my house on fire by accident, I'm sure, if my mom hadn't put me through all these programs. And like the thing was, the big programs at the high school were like all the autistic kids would go out and like go places, that kind of thing. But they didn't really
kind of like to assimilate you with like.
But it was with each other, you know, and like I get that. There needs to be more unity among the community, that kind of thing. But at the same time, I was like, I kind of want to get, like, I didn't want to seem like I was, you know, that I needed the special treatment, that kind of thing. But the older I grew, I realized that I did need that treatment. Like I still rely on a lot of stuff in order to function properly. And it sucks. I try to do better, but then you know, I just have these moments where I don't melt down, but I get very depressed very quickly because I'm just like, I wish I was doing what normal people were doing.
I think, but like normal people deal with the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Where they melt down and it feels like too much. Like, you know, I'll get home after a long day of work and then it's like, oh shit, I still got to deal with the kid. I got to cook dinner. I got to work after he lays down. It's like,
but for me, like sometimes that lasts for weeks. Like
Sure.
I still have to record some lines for somebody, and I've been putting it off. I shouldn't be, because that's the whole thing I want to do. But it's like I have so many different things going on where it's like I have to finish my recording area in my kitchen. I have to, you know, I have to deal with all my other clients that I work with my artwork, all that nonsense. And then like I have to add on all these different meetings that I have with different people. And then I just get so overwhelmed that I shut down, basically.
so you look at, I mean, because same thing happens to me. If I don't make a list of stuff I need to do and just start with the first thing, I won't even start at all.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm looking at this long list and I'm like, fuck this.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Yeah.
I just start with that one thing, then all of a sudden by the end of the day or week or whatever, all of a sudden I've done it all and I'm like, oh, I need to make a new list now. Like,
Let's go.
yeah, yeah. But those little, that feeling of crossing off something on the list and the list gets smaller, that's what kind of drives me. Which I don't know if it's healthy because like,
I mean,
Good,
at
I
least
do.
you get
I-
things done.
I live for like the relief of being done with something versus doing it.
When I think about it, because I mentor 5 agents,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of them, like, the consistency is the biggest thing in real estate, and they can't do it.
Yeah.
I tell them, like, you wake up at 7, they have a checklist online, but they hate looking at it. So I'm like, grab a piece of paper, write down your to-do list, and cross it off one by
Yeah.
one. And it's like, Jack's got ADHD, and, like, it helps him focus. If it wasn't for that, he would show up to the office and not know what to do.
Yeah, it's
Like,
very overwhelming
Yeah.
at first to see a big list of things that you have to get done.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I just get these big pits in my stomach, like just this constant butterfly effect kind of feeling. And that just, it feels like my stomach is on fire and it makes me like shut down.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I can't do this stuff. And it's annoying because like I have all these meetings and I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to postpone it because I'm just not
Losing it.
I can't handle it right now. And I'm so glad that I am in a situation where people understand that and they're just like, okay,
That's huge.
It's so much nicer to, you know, be in a situation where I'm not forced to do things. Like, I'm so glad I'm not a kid anymore so that I don't have to be put through programs, even though I
Right.
screw up all the time. I mean, I almost blew up my house making pancakes one time. We had a gas stove, and I didn't realize it wasn't lit, so it was just spewing gas in the pancake batter.
Yeah.
My sister came home and
Like, it's not
immediately...
cooking. I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
was
doing.
What's going on? Why? I thought this
This
was
should be
easy.
hot.
Yeah.
And my sister came home and she screamed and like shoved me out of the way and turned it off. And we waited for like an hour for it all to dissipate, and I had green pancakes. So I screw up a lot.
Everybody does, though.
Yeah, I
That's
just,
a metaphor for my life.
Yeah.
Or being a parent.
Yeah, I need a team of help with a lot of things, and it sucks. Like, I'd like to just be able to, you know, have a normal day like everybody else, but
I mean, that's a pretty normal. I know you look at it like, you know, I screwed up and, you know, I'm the only one but dude, everybody screws up.
Oh yeah, totally.
But it's just how you handle it.
How do you handle it?
For me, I deal with a lot of self-abuse. Like, I've dealt with a lot of that for a long time. And that used to be kind of the answer. And I just couldn't really help it. There was a lot of physical, like, I would actually like hit
yourself.
Yeah, and I almost knocked myself out one time, which was interesting. But now I'm just very I take a lot more time to focus on what's happening and like what the best course of action is. Some stuff I'm just reactionary. Like, in the moment something happens and then I'm just like, and then do what I'm gonna, you know, whatever horrible thing happens.
Yeah.
You know? But there are a lot of times where I'm just like, okay, take a second, see what's going on. Like, take a lot of things that people do when they have panic attacks is they'll slowly identify the things around them. So they'll start with like, okay, where am I? I'm in my house. Okay, what room in my house? My room. What's in my room? Like the pipe, this, toads and water from the swamp.
Just kind of get you back to reality.
Just to kind of ground you and get you back to, facing things that are happening and how to deal with it at the moment. Like a lot of the things that I freak out about aren't immediate issues, but for me, they feel like I have to do them or else, I'm always 15 minutes early to things, just because I don't want to deal with the pressure of having to
apologize for being late.
And explain why I'm so bad at, being human. I think.
No, I got you. It's like a muscle too of.
I'm kind of like Superman without any of the cool shit that makes Superman him. I feel like I'm an alien from somewhere, and like I look and sound like other people from the planet, but I'm not them. And like, it's just hard to figure out, especially growing up, like how to deal with these things on a regular basis. And
that makes sense.
Yeah. So now I just kind of take things slow, and I'm just realize it's not that big of a deal.
Yes.
Just take your time.
Other people go through it.
Yeah.
How did you come up with those conclusions? Was it, were you going to therapy? Were you watching videos on like how to like overcome some of those things, or how did you come up with some of these solutions?
Drugs, I think. Like for me, I have only recently gotten into edibles like THC, that kind of thing. And for a lot of people, they use it to just get high. For me, I use it because it helps me cool down and not be afraid of everything going on. Like I used to drink a lot. There were days where I would what was it, like every other day, something like that. And just me being the cheapo that I was, I would buy cheap Powerade Zero and cheap vodka and just mix that together and just completely
drink it all day.
Yeah. And like it wasn't solving anything, obviously, but it was at the moment I was just like, I gotta get out of me. Like I gotta become something other than myself, because otherwise I just feel so bad about mistakes that I make.
When did you decide like drinking wasn't helping and that it was being...
Right when I started edibles, actually.
Okay.
I had been drinking 2 bottles of wine a day, basically. Not every day, but like whenever I got wine, I would do that. And I would just be miserable all the time. I mean, I was always tired and sick and sad. And then I went to Eden Prairie Center. They had a little CBD shop there. I was like, I've never tried this, why not? And then it was immediate. I was like, I'm not drinking anymore, this sucks. Like, and there's a comic named Jim Norton who I follow. When you talked about like where I got that kind of stuff, and he used to be an alcoholic, and he was talking to somebody about their alcoholism, and he was just like, think about rock bottom, and then think, do I really want to go back to that moment? And like, how did I get to that point? Do I really want to follow the footsteps of just this disaster? Because like, I had an art career before my current one, and it was killed because of my alcoholic rampage and just escapades, you know, that kind of stuff. So it was tough to get over, but fortunately I found something. A lot of people are like, oh, you can't advocate for drugs. Like that's harmful.
Well,
and I'm like, that's not true for everybody. For a lot of people it's true, but for like people like Hunter S. Thompson, like he
was a maniac.
Yeah, he was crazy, but the things he made, were
drug-fueled creativity.
He did it every single day, and he was still like, that would kill a lot of people to do what he did. Yeah. But he functioned on it. He thrived on it.
He'd wake up, he had like a routine every day of the same thing. He'd wake up, drink like orange juice and vodka, and then he would do like 3 lines of cocaine, and then he would take a Xanax at lunch to take a nap from the cocaine, and then at night he would take, like he had this whole...
just
order of
to-do
drugs,
list of
ups and downs to like maintain his day.
8 a.m. I usually
literally
take...
though.
Oh, gotta do my lines of coke.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
It's like, guys, I'm late. I'm late for my heroin appointment.
Yeah,
It's just
like,
oh,
what?
God.
Have you ever watched Kill Tony?
Yes.
You would be the perfect candidate on Kill Tony.
Really?
They always have like not in like a mean way, but like they always have like outcast comedians with cool stories. I think Jim Norton was on there. He's been on there many times, but it's a really cool show. Do you know how they do it? They
randomly call comics that apply for it.
Not even comics, just people in the crowd. They could be comics, it might not be.
Oh, they don't even like sometimes.
They just put their name in a hat, and some of them aren't even comics.
They just go up there and
60 seconds, and they get ridiculed by the comics that are up there.
And that's fair. I mean, that's the whole point. But like some people take that so personally. And after working retail for a long time, I started to not take things personally. Like people attack you for anything that you do. It doesn't matter what you do.
A lot of times it's just because they're having a bad, like maybe something horrible just happened in their life, and you were the first person they saw.
Yeah. You're the immediate scapegoat, and I understand that mindset, but that's just such an unhealthy method.
Your stand-up. So like, when did that start? Actually, before we get into that, let me restart this real quick.
Oh yeah, sure.
This guy and his camera.
Oh, did it? Does it just turn itself off?
30 minutes, and then I have to restart that one.
Oh my God, that's so frustrating.
The other ones. Your stand-up career. Are you still doing it? What's going on with that? When did you start?
I started in middle school, actually, 9th grade.
Oh, okay.
I had jokes, but they were little kid, stupid jokes.
9th grade jokes, yeah.
Then in high school, I did it a little bit more, and people received it pretty well. And I was like, hey, I could probably. And then my first one. Oh, yeah.
You're good.
My first gig was at Acme.
Oh, wow.
And it was just basically like you go in and you sign for open mic, and you try it out. And I didn't fail, but I wasn't great.
Yeah.
And my problem is I go overtime all the time because I think like, oh, it's my comedy special.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget that you only get like 2 or 3 minutes a session. And so that was pretty aggravating. I found I took a lot of what I learned from stand-up and improv, and I started like a little. Do you know what a PNG tuber is? It's
like
basically
the image PNG.
Yeah, it's kind of like a VTuber, which is like one of those people that uses a rigged model that follows whatever. But
so it's like it flashes different like.
Yeah, it's different pictures. So like as you talk, it changes to a different picture.
I know what you're talking about.
So I did that, and I would watch terrible movies, and I would just riff off it like Mystery Science Theater and just improvise it. And I found more fun in that, honestly. Like, I'd like to try stand-up again, but it's that feeling of butterflies in your stomach is so painful. Like, Gilbert Gottfried talked about it. He would say, like, I think somebody asked him. Yeah, like, somebody asked him how he handles going on stage, and he's like, yeah, I still get that, and I want that, because that's what drives you to keep doing it, that kind of thing.
It gets boring if you're... At least that's what I've heard from like famous bands. It's like I knew I was done when I wasn't nervous anymore to go on stage.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
That's the fun part, is being nervous and then having it.
But at the same time, I hate that. Like it's such a horrible feeling.
It's not comfortable.
Yeah, and at first that's kind of what I was taking CBD for, was to see if I could like calm down. But it just makes me 10 times weirder to talk to people, and it's a total disaster.
There's definitely pros and cons to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I still have the want to do it, that kind of thing. It's not a thing I would do for money or like on the regular, but it would be cool to every now and then just go up and see if it works still, And the big thing about stand-up comedy is you have to fail in order to know how to do better and deal with certain situations. So, like, if I were to get heckled, I would be terrified. Like, I have to have my thing set in a way where I know what's going to happen. Otherwise, I'm boned,
Yeah, loss of control.
And that's kind of why I envy a lot. Like, there's this guy... do you know who Lost Voice Guy is?
Say it again?
Lost Voice Guy?
No.
He's this guy who... I forget if it's cerebral palsy or something like that, but he won Britain's Got Talent for... doing stand-up, but he couldn't talk. So what he would do is he would write all his jokes in his iPad, and like, he would hook it up to a speaker, and it was great.
What a hack.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody boos him or anything.
Yeah.
That's why I'm jealous, because it's like, you can't boo a person.
You don't have the heart to boo a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that, standing up and going, "You suck. Stop doing that."
Yeah. Terrible joke.
Go back to, being miserable, that kind of thing. And in a way, I'm like, I kind of wish I dealt with that. But now I see...
Because you would get, like, pity laughs then.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get, like, genuine...
Yeah. Like, people who go up and have what their condition is as their bit, I find it very lazy for, like, especially, like, with just race jokes or mental illness jokes, that kind of stuff.
They make it their whole identity.
Because then it's just like, what if I'm not that person? Do I still laugh at this?
Is it okay to laugh?
Is it still funny to, And, like, there's some comics who are like, I wish I had Tourette's so that I could go out and say, damn, out in public.
Yeah.
And, like, you could.
You don't wish that.
Yeah, you could do that on your own.
Yeah.
Like, nothing's stopping you. It's the constant in your sleep at the movies that you don't want it going on. Then it's like, oh, this isn't as fun as it was.
Yeah.
But then, like, there's some comics who have, conditions, and they go up there and they make that their own. One thing that really bugs me is that currently there's they've done so much research on autism and the spectrum, and they no longer have, like, categories for people. So if I tell people I have Asperger's, they're like, oh, well, that doesn't exist anymore. But, like, if people just learn that they have autism or that they're on that spectrum, and they go up on stage and they start making jokes about it, it's like, what are you even doing?
Yeah. What is it? Like, people these days, it's like they self-diagnose, like, oh, I'm a little awkward, so I have autism.
What does WebMD say that I have?
Yeah. It's like, it's some big thing, like it's a badge of honor that it sets them apart, and I'm so different.
That people are proud to be what they are, but when that pride when it becomes, like you said, when it becomes your entire identity, that kind of, it demeans that whole characterization.
100%. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I was gonna
Let's go through some questions.
I was gonna ask a different question. But when you were comfortable, you said you were comfortable in Edina. How did you get away from that and start doing what you truly wanted to do with the art and the stand-up? Like, how was that transition, and how did you get through all that?
I actually had to, I was removed from a bunch of houses just because I wasn't properly medicated, and I didn't have the things that I needed to function. And so I lived in Edina for like 4 years, was miserable because nothing was happening, and then moved out to Eden Prairie where nothing was happening and it was totally miserable. And then I was in Minneapolis. Like, I went from Eden Prairie to Minneapolis, and I was like, I have to find something that I do. Like, I have to find
your
something
purpose.
because otherwise I'm just like, I don't want to work in a factory all the time. I don't want to be, the grocery store guy. That kind of, like, those are very important jobs, and I respect the people who do those jobs, but I could not do those jobs for as long as they are able to. Like, standing on your feet for like 8 hours a day, I can't fathom that. That's so painful to me to think about. And so I was just like, I went out and I lived off on my own, and I was like, I have to find my own thing, because otherwise I'm stuck in this perpetual state of just being miserable and having no point to things,
Yeah. Finding your purpose.
Yeah. I'll bring up the national holiday. How about that?
Yeah.
This is my favorite segment we do. National holiday today. There's 3 of them. 3 really great ones. It's National Nacho Day.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Oh, you saw that?
I saw that on my computer. Every time those pop up, I'm like, God damn it. I'm just like,
starving.
Yeah.
Saxophone Day.
Okay. Did you play an instrument real quick?
Guitar poorly.
Oh, okay.
I only remember like 2 songs, but
yeah.
That's pretty good. And then it's Stress Awareness Day.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm so glad we're finally aware that stress is a thing. Good
What
Lord.
is stress?
Yeah, I'm so glad there's a holiday that we can celebrate with our families.
Like no one in the U.S. was aware that stress existed.
You know what?
It's funny. It's the day after Election Day too.
Yeah. I just
not
seen
Joe President. That's what I'm saying.
Nice.
That's a
stand-up.
I don't even deserve
That's a stand-up
it.
comedian.
My news or not news feed. My feed on Facebook is just people going back and forth
Constantly. That's why I avoid it. Yeah. With
crazy.
the holiday thing, I have a theory that it's made up by office workers so that they have an excuse to do something in a boring cubicle office all day.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's like every day is the same. So, like, the receptionist lady is just like, let's make this National Nacho Day and to celebrate, we'll have nachos for lunch.
They have like 5 holidays every day.
Yeah, there's like national,
not like federal holiday, but like stupid,
just made up shit.
National Strawberry Day,
National Apple Day.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not. It's Thursday.
Yep.
It's Thursday.
It's fine to have just a day that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Just celebrate whatever you want on any day. Like, I tell people we shouldn't just celebrate Christmas by, one day. We should just be giving things to each other all the time. And I try to live by that philosophy of just like trying to find stuff that I really don't need and just giving it to people who might need it, that kind of thing. And that's a mindset we should always have, is to treat everybody, with that sort of respect. But
that's crazy, Bob.
Treat every day
that's
like
crazy.
I know.
Like it's
God
Christmas.
forbid.
Yeah. This was just a random thought I had last night. So I know we talk about like people's 5-year plans.
Yeah.
I don't know what my 5-year plan is. I kind of have.
I thought you were gonna say, what about a 6-year plan?
Yeah. Hear me out. Hear me out. No, I was thinking about it.
6-year plan holiday day today. Yeah.
In 5 years, I'll have a 6-year plan. I just don't. Like, I kind of have an idea, like a few different things. Like, it would be sweet if this took off, or like if, my video business, or even the Edge thing, whatever.
If your video business is going on.
But I'm just saying, like,
just start there.
I don't know. I don't have like a set, like, you told me the other day, you're like, all right, by the end of the year, I want 10,000 followers.
Yeah. It's like,
what did I say?
You said just be yourself.
No, close.
I said buy bots is what I said.
Buy followers.
Yeah,
that's how you
no,
do it.
I said just have fun.
Oh, have fun, be yourself.
Yeah, because that I feel like translates way more.
And it's like, it's funny you bring up a 5-year plan. Like, I think about my 5-year plan a lot.
Yeah.
Which is like different from you, because you just said you didn't have one, and like every day I'm like, okay, I still need to get to this point by the time I'm 25, I don't want to have to worry about my bills because I'm making enough passive income where I don't have to worry about it. I want to have a kid. I'm getting married next year. Like, so those are all
nice.
Done.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what else do I need? I need to grow this. I need to grow prestige.
But that drives you.
Yeah, and like that's what gets me up.
For me, like when I start doing that, I start building expectations of like, all right, by this time I should have this, by this, and then I'll start connecting these things. And then when one thing doesn't happen in the middle there, that all falls apart.
Yeah,
and then I'm trying to like,
I know that.
But I also
think I get caught off guard.
I almost go backwards. So I think, okay, by the time I'm 25, I'm 22 now. By the time I'm 25, so 3 years from now, I want to be making $5,000 passively a month.
It's like, how do I do that?
How do I become that? And it's like, okay, well, I need to have roughly 100 people in my downline, which is a revenue share at EXP. If I have 100, equates to about $7,500 a month. I'm like, okay, if I'm at 100 people in my downline, I'm probably going to make that $5,000. But how do I get there? It took me my first year to go from 0 to 10. So I'm like, okay, we're 10% of the way there. But now how do I continue to grow it? I create this group called Prestige. We have great events that we're hosting now. And it's like, well, now it's 10. Well, now it's 15. And now I didn't even do anything because the people under me are starting to bring people. And that adds to it. So it's
that's a big part of social media too. Yeah.
I know I need to reach out to like 50 agents every 2 months, let's say, to have 5 coffee appointments. Out of those 5 coffee appointments, I know I can get one of them to come to EXP. So now it's just a numbers game for me.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I got to reach out to 10 people a day to get to my 5 appointments. If I have those 5 appointments, I know one of them will come. If I have, 500 appointments, I know 100 people are coming.
Yeah.
So how do I set
like
500
that.
appointments?
That's a good idea.
Working backwards, because I guess I always like try and like work it in like as I go. But if I start up here at like, okay, in 5 years or whenever it is, I want to have a successful,
you really have
doing
to
like 10 clients. It's like, okay, to get 10 clients, I need to actually talk to people and make a page and a website, and then to make a page and a website, I need to go to Squarespace and future sponsor. Yeah, no, that's a really good, good point.
I made a video yesterday about open houses. I did 50 open houses in the last 6 months, and that's 100 or 2 hours each, so it's 100 hours total. Out of those 100 hours, I made 10 grand. So it's like, okay, I know if I do 50 open houses, I'm roughly going to make $10,000. So next year, if I do 300 open houses, now I'm making $40,000.
$2 million?
Yeah.
$40,000.
$40,000 from that. So now it's like, okay, if I do 2 a weekend, 2 times 52 is 104. Right? So it's 104 open. So now I got to figure out how can I add more onto that. Like, yeah, it's all just, I work way too backwards.
That's kind of how I started it's how I started my whole project was, I wanted to make, my whole goal right now is I would like to be able to work on TV and entertainment, that kind of stuff. And I started my whole project with just being like, okay, I would like to be able to get on television. How do I do that? And at first I did it completely wrong. I mean, I had no idea because there's really no, I mean, we're not Hollywood. We're not New York.
You have to kind of know someone, probably.
Yeah, you have to know a lot of people. But the fortunate thing is now social media is insanely simple. Like, I actually... do you know who Pendleton Ward is? The guy who made Adventure Time?
Oh, I know Adventure Time.
Yeah. He streams all the time on Twitch.
Yeah.
And I met him through that and, just kind of talking to him, that kind of thing. And then, like, another artist who comes and hangs out in that stream came in, and I look into their work, and their work is incredible. And it just brings all these different people together, and you can just kind of the thing about pursuing followers and that kind of thing is you kind of don't, how do I put it, like I never try to force followers on my, like I never really go out and look for people to automatically follow me. If I'm good at what I do, that'll just happen.
Be yourself.
Have fun. And the thing is, like, you can't really, a lot of people focus on followers and how famous they're going to be, that kind of thing. And that's a huge deal right now, is just how do I get famous? And for me, it's just like, slow, gradual process. Some people can just join a social media site and have like 50,000 people following them. Yeah. I don't get that. But I also kind of like not knowing that, because the more people you know, especially, the more people you don't want to know, the people who try to get themselves involved. And then you have to learn how to kind of get past that, say, no, I'm not interested, and keep moving forward, that kind of thing.
Well, for you, I feel like you're looking at it as a point of like, it's risky to know that many people, because there's more of an opportunity for bad things to happen to me, right?
Yeah, there's been a lot of people have been after me. And I'm just trying to draw, like, I understand I'm socially awkward a lot of the time. And what I love about being online is I could just undo whatever I said. I can edit it. Yeah. But like when I'm saying something and I don't know what I'm going to say, but I just say it anyway, then I have to go backward and be like, I have to be like, I didn't mean it.
Someone hacked my account.
Yeah, I'm just, please, my brain is on fire.
And, but like the whole thing, like I learned this from Tom, and I'm sure my boss, and I'm sure he learned it from some, but like your network is your net worth. It's all about who you know.
Absolutely.
So the more you reach out, I mean, it's kind of like...
I mean, Pendleton helped me promote my little like PNG tube thing that I was doing. I don't really do it anymore, but he was still like, he stopped his stream. He's like, hey, and if you guys are interested, check out, whatever.
Well, it's kind of like what Brady was saying. You just have to be consistent. Even when like that's the discipline of it. Like I work out every morning.
Yeah, you do. Fuck yeah.
I mean, you could tell, obviously, but...
why are you even wearing this? Show off your big, delicious muscles.
Listen, please.
Come on.
Ladies, I'm taken. Just relax.
Guys?
No, but like, motivation is great, but that won't last.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
Because you can like float on being motivated at first, but then you can burn out very easily.
So quick.
And that's what I didn't want to have happen with this project. Like this project, I knew from the beginning I wanted to do it just because it's so different from what I've seen. Like I definitely want something that's very bizarre and something nobody has done And I'm hoping that I can achieve that. But
I get stuck on that.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like I get stuck on the, well, no, someone's already done this before, or this looks like someone else's. I always need to be like a unique, like version. Like I don't know.
The big problem is that my main character is a guy with a pumpkin head.
Carvey?
Yeah. And everybody loves pumpkin-headed characters. I mean,
it's perfect.
Especially it's just seasonal. Such a fun, seasonal, scary, spooky thing. But I thought about that, and everybody's got a pumpkin character at some point. Like Mark Hamill plays one. There's like a whole Over the Garden Wall, if you've ever seen that. It's all like just pumpkin creatures in an episode. So I worked on it, and I was like, I feel like I'm it's
oversaturated.
Yeah, I feel like it's derivative. But then the more I went on with the project, I realized, okay, well, nobody's done this yet, and nobody's tried this joke yet. So I'm going to try to push it and see if I can.
Everybody's inspired by so many things that.
Most of my artwork is inspired by Stephen Gamble, the guy who did the Scary Stories books. Majorly inspired by that. Not all my work looks like that, but I am very.
It was. I have to say it was awesome. The pictures I saw, they look like they would make really cool tattoos. Oh yeah, seriously.
Somebody actually suggested I make shirts, and for the first time, I was like, I could make shirts.
That would be so sick.
It'd be fun. I want to learn. I want to get back into traditional, but I'm so. Sometimes I will draw with a pencil and paper, and then I'll try to hit the undo button, and I'm like,
but do you usually do it on like an iPad or something?
Yeah, there's a program called Procreate, which if there are any aspiring artists, I highly recommend it. It is one of the easiest programs to learn. It does almost everything, and it's just awesome. Highly recommend that program. But I want to be able to. The thing with digital is I feel like it's just easy for people to get access to that art, whereas if you do it traditionally, it has a little bit more value because it's the only copy of it that's out there, and it's the only physical copy of it that's out there. And that artist that I met through Pendleton does a lot of his own artwork using just this bizarre guy, Tom Thinks. If you ever look it up on Twitch.
Tom Thinks?
Yep, all in one word, Tom Thinks. He's this guy who makes animated puppets, he calls them, where it's he'll talk and then he hits keys and then the character will start talking, and then he'll draw scenes and then he'll make those drawings talk and stuff. And it's just insane.
You used to do I just remember this. You used to do the stick figure. Wasn't it you? Stick figure.
The Palm Pilot thing that I had?
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I forgot about that.
I remember I think it was a 2-minute animation.
Yeah.
Which
I saw it and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing.
It's crazy what I just fell into it. I was like, this is so much fun to do. I kind of dread making animations now because it's just so time consuming, and I'm not sure if I'm doing it. My software that I've had forever is Macromedia Flash 8, which is obsolete, but I found a way to make it work again.
Yeah.
You have to download third-party software.
Windows 95 to get
you have to go back to the Stone Age to make it work, but it's just it's what I know, and I know that it worked pretty well. But the thing is, I just dread having to do it. But Procreate came out with this program called Procreate Dreams, which is their animation software. It's still not perfect, but it's in its infancy, basically, so there's a lot more that's going to be added on. And I'm hoping to use that in the future for whatever I'm going to use. But there are a lot of programs like Blender has 2D animation.
That looks way hard, though.
I tried learning how to make a 3D Carvey, and I almost cried. I was so overwhelmed.
It looks insane.
I'm what the hell is a vertice? I can't figure it out.
It looks so complicated.
It's so hard. There's a cool video game somebody designed to teach you Blender, which I would like to get, but if that's the way I'm going to learn it, it feels, I don't know, not lazy, but just kind of
different,
goofy.
We only have a few minutes left, but I wanted to ask you your top 3 favorite YouTube channels, or do you ever watch YouTube?
Oh, all the time.
Do you like Meat Canyon?
Meat Canyon rules.
Yeah, okay.
I was so upset. He came to St. Paul pretty recently, I believe, and I wanted to go see him, but I couldn't. He's awesome.
Yeah, that's the guy that does
really gross animations,
weird,
and stuff.
Bugs Bunny, veined out.
I love that. The Ed and Eddie one where it's like, would you like to see God for a quarter? It's like, God, he's so good. I would say there's a guy named Oni, NG. Have you ever heard of Oni Plays?
Yeah.
That is hysterical to me. That is one of the funniest shows I've ever watched in my entire life.
That name sounds so familiar.
He plays video games, and he's an artist from Ireland.
Oh yeah.
And he makes animations and stuff. But he's very well known right now for his YouTube channel. And then there's Tom Thinks. His channel is called Cartoon Mess Live.
Okay.
And that is basically where he puts a lot of his fun stuff. And then for the third one.
Could be any. It doesn't have to be.
I mean, Kurzgesagt is pretty good.
Who?
Kurzgesagt.
Kurzgesagt.
It's like it's hard to spell. I can't even think of how it's spelled, but it's basically like 10-minute animations, a little over 10 minutes sometimes, about just explaining how certain things work, like the science of things.
Oh, wait, I think. Have you ever seen The Egg?
Yes, where it's like the guy who died and he talks to the same guy.
Yeah, that's what I thought, dude. Okay. Yeah.
There's a channel.
That is top 5 favorite. I was gonna say music. Favorite YouTube videos I've ever seen.
It's very fascinating. Yeah, and they always come up with like these really interesting topics and like really cover the truth of it. What I really like is they'll be like, okay, well, let's assess what happens if like we get nuked. Like what happens?
Yes.
And then they have like cute animations of birds burning alive and like becoming skeletons,
but in like a cartoon version,
in a cute, happy, fun way that makes you not sad and like want to just.
And they're very like they don't talk overly scientific and layman's.
The thing for me is, in order for me to get information, which I feel a lot about like teaching positions, is you have to know how you learn best. And for me, it's like watching somebody describe it and having visuals and presenting something. But if you just had a guy on a talk show talking about, like if you had Neil deGrasse Tyson trying to explain
he drives me nuts sometimes.
How gravity affects time, and he doesn't have like a rocket ship and like an orange, and
can show you.
I'm just like yawn. I need that something with it.
We only have 3 minutes left, but
Comic-Con.
Oh.
Do you like Comic-Con?
I
comic
would
books?
love to go to one of the, I went to like a few comics. I'm not like big on anime or anything like that, but I've been to an anime convention to meet with some friends, but didn't meet them, so I just started playing hacky sack with like Naruto friends and stuff. It was surreal, but it was fun. I love the experience of that whole thing. It's super cool.
Community.
My brother's huge into like Legos and comic books.
I am a Lego freak. I worked there for 2.5 years.
That's probably like his dream
you guys
job.
should probably hang out.
Probably. I have a big Bowser that I reserved shelf space for because it's just Lego sets today are so cool but so expensive.
Yes.
And I miss working there because it was half off on everything. My brother-in-law really misses me working there because he would always want the big expensive Technic trucks that I would have never gotten anyway. But
Star Wars?
Not a big fan of it myself. I mean, the sets are charged more because it's under the Disney name. So the Millennium Falcon, which used to be the largest Lego set they had, like 5,000 pieces, something like that.
It's in my brother's room. Yep.
Yeah, it was like it's $800
all put together.
$800, and then Lego came out with a set that was like the Roman Colosseum for $500, and that's like 3,000 pieces more, I think, something like that. So they
but it's not attached to Star Wars.
Yeah. If Chewbacca was like fighting in the
Colosseum,
then it would skyrocket. Like even just for one minifigure, it goes for it exceeds costs. It's just insane.
Yeah. No, he's like tried writing a few comic books and like done animation stuff.
That's
he's
cool.
Really good at it.
Highly encouraged. Always want to support that because that's just such a cool.
It's such a
It's a great outlet.
He's so creative in his mind, but he can't
express it.
He can't express it, and he's too comfortable where he's at right now to try to venture off on his own and
hard.
Really do something.
It's hard to know how to motivate a person like that. Like when I was working at the Lego store, I met somebody who had an autistic son, and I brought up that I also share the condition. And for like 30 minutes, he was just talking to me about like, okay, well, what do I do if this happens? I'm like, from what I had to go through. Just don't do this, don't do that, that kind of thing.
Dude, okay. I just thought of like, you should do a YouTube channel.
Oh, God.
I know. You on camera, which is probably your most uncomfortable.
I try to avoid my own reflection at all costs.
But you taking, I don't know.
Those experiences.
And like questions from people and
I've
younger
thought about
people that deal with similar.
Yeah, and I would like to help out. Like a big goal that I would like to have is if I do succeed with, making a show or getting my art career where I'd like it to go, I would love to start like a foundation where it's like theater for kids with those conditions.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing, is to be able to understand how to deal with situations in front of you and how best to answer it. Like you're not always going to be, the point of improv isn't always to be like funny or the best person on stage. It's to have a scene that's interesting continue to go on, and to introduce kids with those conditions to that kind of ideal is pivotal. It was for me anyway. It was so necessary for me to be able to break out of just that shell. So highly encourage him to pursue anything that that allows his interest to link with other people. That will be a huge deal.
His the one comic he made was just like about how he felt having Asperger's, and like the inside of his brain he basically put on paper because
that's really cool. Yeah,
and it was really, really cool. And I told him, like, dude, a lot of people are gonna like be able to relate to this and learn from it, and he's too comfortable. That's the biggest thing right now.
It's tough, very, very tough to know what to do, but you just do your best.
It's hard to have a conversation too. It's he doesn't want any help. It's just it's tough.
Comfort.
Yeah.
The comfort, and I think he just needs to kind of step out. Step out of that like safe circle, which is
and I think
terrifying.
if you help introduce, not push him into it, but like help introduce those kind of things. Be like, hey, this is a thing that I think like what you're doing, just saying like, I think a lot of people could benefit from this. If you like doing it, it's not even going to be a problem. Like just tell them like, it'll be like nothing even happened. Like it'll be like you've just been doing what you've been doing before, but you will be not only communicating with other people from your work, but you'll also be, an example for those people who suffer with those same conditions. So don't push them to do it, but just definitely encourage them and be like, hey,
you could be the light at the end of the tunnel type of deal.
Just be like, there's something you can do with this if you want.
You're going to have to trick him into thinking it was his own idea.
Yeah.
Because he probably thinks that you're talking down to him when you're suggesting, like, you know what I mean?
Well, and it doesn't, like, I'm the younger brother,
right?
That moved out, gave up on college, and now is successful. Like, it's tough, right? He's the only one that lives at home now. Like, he's the one that isn't married. He's the one that doesn't have like, it's tough, and he tries to look at us to like compare, and it's like, well, that's how
I feel with my sister. She is she isn't doing like she has this amazing, she actually bought her old childhood house in the swamp and she tore it down and built
Really?
She has a skee ball in her basement, or a skee ball machine in her basement. She's got she has a big quilting press in one of the big rooms, and then there's me who lives in an apartment above,
still cool though.
It's a cool place to live, but at the same time,
mean.
it's like it's not a big place with a skee ball machine.
What does she do?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
She does well enough to knock down the house and put up.
She wants to be like a professional quilt salesperson,
that
kind of thing. So she wants to do her own thing, which is really cool. Like me, like I want to do my own thing as well. And she's doing so. I mean, she has her problems, obviously. Like everybody deals with stuff, but when I see how well she's doing, I'm like, that's kind of worth it to have. Like, it sucks that you have to go through those things, but the fact of the matter is, you're doing so well. It's kind of like Breaking Bad with Walter White. Like it's kind of like he was the top meth salesman in all of New Mexico, but he wanted more. And it's like you have to realize the more you want, the more that's going to take away from what you're doing now. And
and what truly makes you happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you single? Do you want kids? What?
Are you hitting on me?
No.
You told me you were taking, you
lying
sneaky Pete.
piece of shit.
I have been single my entire life.
Yeah.
I have never dated in my entire life. Never really wanted to. And so a lot of people think I'm gay. And it doesn't help that I have a leather hat that I wear everywhere. But it's a cool hat. I love it. It means like I never have to wash it or anything.
Yeah.
But like, people ask me like, are you dating? Are you looking? Are you seeking? I'm just like, it's too much. Like, I already have enough problem raising myself, like having to look after other people. And it's not like I'm not trying to be selfish about it. It's just like I can't do it. I never knew how to do that sort of thing.
That's fair. That's like super introspective.
And I feel like if I tried to do that kind of thing, it would take away from what I'm focusing on. I feel like if I forced myself to go looking, that would be the case. But if it happened,
naturally.
Yeah, if it happens naturally, I'm like, cool, this is fine. But I never really look for any of that kind of stuff for sure.
That's cool though. Should we ask the last question?
You ask the question.
How do you want to be remembered when you're gone?
Boy, that's a good question.
It's a deep one. Jake's good at it.
Yeah, especially with my whole deal. I guess I just want people to see my weird stuff that I put out there. Like, I just want people to know, I don't care if I have my name remembered. I just want my artwork to stay in people's heads, that kind of thing. Like with Stephen Gamble, the guy who made Scary Stories, a lot of people don't know his name, but they know the book and they know his work. So they are immediately entranced and a big fan of them, even if they know nothing about the guy. You know? There are a lot of artists who I don't know anything about, like Francisco Goya, the guy who made Saturn Devouring His Son, that cool picture of the guy like eating his kid and he's like freaking out. That guy, I would love to, I got to learn more about him, but just from his work alone, that is insanely cool. And that's how I want to, that's all
to be
I
known
really
for your
do.
work. And
just to see that he did something, if you like it or if you don't like it, whatever, but it's there and it's people have seen it, that kind of thing. So
I like that. That's cool.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. I love that.
Thank you.
Bob, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you
really
so much for this
it.
whole thing. I am so happy that I'm doing podcasts again because this is so cool.
Yeah, they're really fun. Cool story.
I probably won't watch it because I don't like looking at myself, but I will.
Worries.
Yeah, anytime I'm on screen, I'll just hit mute and should be all right.
I feel like a lot of people do that though, and they watch themselves.
So many, especially in real estate. Like all these kids, I'm trying to be like post. They're like, I can't watch it back.
I can't hear my own voice.
Especially in voice acting. I hate my voice, but I still do it.
Dude, you're pretty good at it.
Voice acting is crazy too. I wish we should have gotten into that.
It's so much fun to do, but it's like it's hard because I can't listen to it and be like, yeah, that was great.
People are gonna love this.
Yeah, I can't just be happy with it. I'm always re-recording and
thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see you next week. Bye.